All right, so we're going to start a class talking about your tests and your homework. So your test will be on next coming Tuesday, not tomorrow, next Tuesday on the 28th of July at noon. And I will post the test. There are 3 ways you can see the test. One, you can see it in the announcement page here, right on Indeed2L. There will be a testing. Another way you can find the test is under material and content. And then you will see a folder called tests coming out. And then that folder will be a test. That's the second way. The third way you can find it is through your college email address that you have that will send it to you. So there are 3 ways that you can find the test at. You either print the test out, it's all in PDF file. So you print the test out, or you can write on papers. But make sure when you write on the papers, you have your name and your questions and everything. Make sure they're all in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like orders. And then after that, once you finish, you use your scanner. Either you get it from your cell phone using Cam Scanner or your scanning device. You have a scanner at home, scan it and then email it to me. And then I'll wait for me to reply back saying that, you know what, I got your test, then you will be good to go. Because sometimes people email it to me and I still missing a few pages. Maybe it's not finished uploading. So make sure that when you guys, email me, don't just say, oh, I'm done with the test. You just need to wait till the confirmation of email back from me saying that I received your test. That means everything is good. Otherwise, if I sometimes email you back like missing pages or missing questions or something else. So make sure you guys, when you guys upload the test to the email, and some people ask me, where do you upload it? Do not upload in Indeed2L. A lot of people say, oh, can I upload it on assignments? A lot of people go to here and upload the assignments. No, this is where you upload it. No, you do not need to upload it. Send the answers, your test answers, to my email address. Okay, you guys got what I'm saying? And then wait for my confirmation email saying that you got that I received your test or not. You got 24 hours to do so, means that you will have till Wednesday noon. So the 29th, the Wednesday. So it's going to be the 29th noon in this case. Okay. Does anyone have any questions with your tests here? Because your test is very important. This is a 30%. I do not accept any late tests, so make sure you guys do not send me any late tests by afternoon. But if it's like 12:03 or 12:05, I'm fine with it, or 12:15, I'm fine with it. So do not rush to the very end and then panicky and then send it to me. You will end up really bad. So I will recommend you to just if you're like 10-15 minutes late, you're fine. Don't worry about that. But if you're already done with your test, you can always upload it to me. And I only accept one upload. Some students say, oh, I forgot to do this, let me upload. No, I won't accept anything. So make sure that, David, I think I did question 5 wrong. Can I re-upload again the test? The answer is no. So make sure that when you upload the test, you only can upload 1 time. So make sure that when you upload, that is your final upload. So you cannot re-upload again until if there is a missing page or something else that I want you to upload, send the test to me. Does anyone have any questions regarding with your test that is coming out on not tomorrow, but the following Tuesday? Anyone have any questions on it? And those students who doesn't know how to use your Cam Scanner or your scanning, you doesn't know if it's right or wrong, you can always go right now and then like scan like 2-3 pages of documents and then send it to me, to my email address, and I can tell if you get it, this is good or bad. So that is the thing I want to point out to those who are still doesn't know how to use Cam Scanner or any scanning device, or doesn't know if I get the right file or format that I want. I do not accept picture form. A lot of students just like taking pictures or selfie, like take a picture of your test and send it to me. I would not take that. So make sure that you guys get a scanner and upload it as a PDF file. I think I teach you guys how to do it on a cam scanner on the first day of class. So make sure you guys do that. Again, class, please practice this now. If you got time, you got another week. It's very easy. It'll take you like 5 minutes to upload to scan 3 pages of document, any documents you want, send it to me, and then I will look at it and then I'll reply back to you. Okay. So anyone have any questions with the test and everything before we continue with P4? I do have some questions from P4 students asking me about. So we'll talk about that. Like question 23. I'm gonna start with 23 first because that's the first one that we have. So P4 is about factoring. So we will talk more about factoring here. So this is 23. So I'm gonna use what we call that paint. Yep. Now I'm gonna write instead of. Okay. So this is question 23. You guys okay with this one like this? I know it's a little bit, you guys okay? Can you guys, now I'm gonna use, my handwriting is a little bit off, but I can still write it out so you guys can see it. Okay. And now we'll talk about just what to study. So we're doing 6x to the 5. So 6x to the 5, sorry, my handwriting is really bad here, plus 30x cubed minus 5x squared minus 25. Okay. So what you guys need to do here in this question 23 is, this is a 4 terms. So when you have 4 terms, you have to do groupings. So this is what we call as grouping, where you have to split this into 2 and then look at these first 2 and see what is a common factor here that you can factor out. So what is the first 2 terms? The common factor for the first 2 terms in this case will be 6x cubed. This is the GCF, the greatest common factor for these 2 terms, because 6 goes into 6 and 30, and the smallest power is x cubed. So when you take 6x cubed from 6x5, you will get x squared. Plus, when you take 6x cubed from 30x cubed, you will get 5. Okay, so this is how we do the first pair. And then the second pair, now because there is a negative over here, so you have to factor out the negative out. And what is a common factor between these 2 is 5. So you will get x squared plus 5. How do you know if this is correct? You can distribute this. So if you distribute negative 5, you should get negative 5x squared minus 25. And the same thing happens to 6x cubed. And another way for you to figure out if this is right is you find out that these 2 parentheses are the same. So if they are, they should be the same. And if they are the same, then you can rewrite this as 1. No squaring. So make sure that this has to be same. And then the leftovers, you put it on the other side. So it's going to be 6x cubed minus 5. So this is how we do question number 23 here. You guys okay? Sorry for this is, I think someone wants me to do this way, so I'm gonna start working on this way, but my handwriting is gonna be a bit icky because of the way it's hard to write. Okay. Next is question 29. So 29 is you have to factor this completely. Let me give another new one. I don't save it. So question number 29. Again, I will post this in D2L. So make sure if you guys doesn't get it, just watch D2L again, and then you will get. Question 29 is what we call as a perfect, a binomial difference of squares of binomials. Because that these 2 are your binomials, they are perfect square, and then you have a minus sign. So in this case, we can figure out what is your A and your B. This is your A here. So your A in this case will be x squared plus 1 because it's whole thing squared. And your B in this case will be perfect. What is the square root of 4x squared? And it will be 2x. Okay. And the formula says that if you have a difference of square, the formula say that this is going to be A minus B and A plus B. So what you do here when you factor this one out is you just, we know A is this, B is that, so you just put it down, just plug it into this formula. So A in this case is x squared plus 1. So A minus B, so B is 2x. And then ax squared plus 1, and then plus 2x. Now, usually what you guys do is you try to combine like terms, but unfortunately, there is no like terms in this case because there are no like terms. And I think they want you to write this in the standard form, means high to low power, means you have to rearrange this. So x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now, because this question wants you to completely factor, so this can be factored because they are trinomials. So, so what you do here is this can be factored again. So plus 1 is a perfect square of 1. So we can factor this from x minus 1 and x minus 1. Same thing happens to the back part. You can factor again. This is x plus 1 and x plus 1 because this is an easy factor here. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. Same thing in here. But instead of writing all this, I can rewrite this up here. So your answer in this case, because they are the same, so your answer in this case will be, I'm going to use blue here, x minus 1 whole thing squared, and then x plus 1 whole thing squared. So this is your final answer for question 29. Usually when last time we talked about in the class on Thursday, we don't factor it because we combine like terms. But in this case, this can be factored some more. And the answer in this case will be, this will be your answer. Okay. So this is how we do question number 29. Next is 31. You have to factor 31 completely. Do not forget that the first thing when you guys do question factoring here is you have to take the GCF out. So if you look at question number 31, you can find out that the reason why I know this one you have to take a GCF out is because 2 and 16 are not perfect cube because this is a cube here. So this is not a perfect cube. So you can actually factor the 2 out, the GCF out. So what you left in this case is the T3 minus 8. Okay, so this is what happens when you factor out. You have to find a GCF first, and then this is a perfect cube formula where you have to know your A and B using a perfect cube. So A in this case will be T because T times T times T is T cubed. B in this case is 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And now if you know your A and B, we can use the formula. So the formula for A cubed minus B cubed is A minus B. And then A squared plus AB plus B squared. So this is the perfect cube formula in this case. Now we know that A is T and your B is 2. You plug it inside there. So your answer in this case will be T minus 2. That's A minus B. And then A squared will be T squared plus AB will be 2T plus B squared in this case is 4. And do not forget that you factor out the 2 out early on. So that 2 has to be put up front here. So this will be your answer for question number 31. Okay. And lastly, for question 32, match which are the factors in this case. Just this is from the notes. So to match this is called the this is called the difference of two squares because they are squaring here. So this is difference of two square. This one is a cube, so it's a difference of two cubes. And this one is a trinomial because it's three terms. So it's a perfect square trinomial. So this is how we do for question number 32 in this case. So everyone doing all right here so far with this questions here that you have? Anyone have any more questions for me before I continue with So Sally asked me about how do we study for your test, which is a very good question. So in order for you to study for your test, I would recommend you to go to your textbook. Okay, so like here I go to the ebook. So this is how I access my ebook. So at the end of each chapter, there is a chapter test. So I would recommend you to go for it, practice those. So Sally asked me about, test is next Tuesday. How do we do that? So I would recommend that, so you click on the textbook, go under to the very end, there is a chapter test. Click on the chapter test, and this is something I would recommend you to do, is the chapter test for chapter P. They look very similar to this in your test that you do, but less questions. This is a lot of questions, look at that. This is a lot of questions, 19 questions. It will be around like 15 questions. And then you can always look at answers. So this is the answer here. Okay, so you just click down here and you can get your answers. And then if there is some, there are some videos that you doesn't know, there are some videos on here. So I would recommend that you guys do that. Same thing happens in chapter 1. So where you go is you go to your textbook, you go to your ebook, and then go to the very last page of it, okay, on each chapter. Okay, so you go to the book and then go down to the P, and then at the end there's a chapter test, and that is where you guys do. Same thing happens in your textbook. You go to the end of it, you will see it, okay, and then you go did the same thing for chapter 1 for your next test, okay. So this is how you study for your test in this case. How many should we, around, I haven't set your test yet, so how about, I think it's around 15, 16 questions in this case, I haven't set a test, around 15, 16 questions. So you do have around like an hour, 2 hours to do your test, okay, but you got 24 hours to do it. Adam Lee is asking how is A is 2 and A is T and B is 2. Because where is my, okay. So Adam asked me the question why that is because the formula that we use here is using this has to be perfect cubes. So the reason why that this is A and 2 is because it has to be a perfect cube. So, so in this case, it has to be multiples like by itself 3 times. So A in this case is T cubed and B is 2. If you look at the, let me pull it up, that formula that we use here. Okay. So if you look at the formula that we use for perfect cube, where was that? 31, 30, yep, this is the one. You notice that if you look at this formula, this is u cubed minus v cubed equals to u minus v. This u is actually u by itself, meaning it has to be a perfect cube. And v in this case is also a perfect cube of v. So that's the reason why that in this case, we are using A is t here and b is 2 here because those are perfect cube. We don't use 4 or we don't use some 8 because in order for you to do this all have to be a perfect cube. Okay, same thing happens when you do your perfect square, when you have like x squared minus 4. Your A in this case is x because it's square is a perfect square now, and your B in this case is 2, which is a perfect square. So that's why you get x minus 2 and x plus 2. We don't use the x squared minus 4. We don't use the 4 here is because this is your perfect square here. So this is the same thing, but we are using perfect cube of this. Okay. So Adam L, make sure that you guys know that this is a perfect cube when you use. And how do we know this is a perfect cube? You look at your power, because this power is power 3. So we're doing perfect cube here. If you have a power 2, then we do perfect square. So usually that's how you figure out, are we using a perfect cube or perfect square in this case. Okay. All right. More questions? That's good. You guys ask questions. Anyone? Okay. If you do, you can stay after class and then we'll talk if you need more ask. So today we go over P5, and then on Thursday we go over P6. Okay, so we have P5 and P6 left over here. So so P6 actually is easy because it's graphing coordinate system and so on. So I will show you how to. It's just points, and it's not graphing. It's just like finding the points and then figure out what quadrant it belongs to. So that's easy. So we do P5 here. So this is actually very important and very difficult. And in order for you to do P5, you have to be very good in factoring. So if you doesn't know how to do P4 factoring, forget about P5, because P5 is all about factoring here. So we're talking about rational expression. So what is a rational expression? A rational expression is a quotient of two algebraic expressions. That means that you have to have, it's a fraction. That means you have two polynomials that is a quotient of two polynomials. For example, you get x squared plus 5x plus 25 over x plus 2. So this is what I call as a rational expression. It's a fraction. It's another word for fraction, friends. So 6 over 7 is also called a rational expression, although we use it called as fraction. And now we change the name to rational expression. So these are all rational expression here. So if you want to simplify, usually when you have expression, we simplify, we don't solve. If you want to simplify this, you cannot simply cancel. Oh, I can cancel my, let's say that's something in common. Let's say I give you another expression saying that is x squared. Let me use this. This is a better one. So let's say you got another one that is saying x squared minus 4x plus 5. And then you got x minus 5. So a lot of students say, oh, I can cancel this one and this one. I can cancel this one and this one. So I get, you know, x, what happens I get here is x squared minus 4. That's it, because this is gone, this is gone. This is completely wrong. And in the test, if you do this, you get 0 point, no points at all. Okay, so do not do this because so what is the correct way to do this is you have to factor it out, and then you cancel the common factor. Okay, so example is x squared minus 4x plus 5. Let's say not plus, let's say this is a minus 5. It can be changed to become x minus 5 and x plus 1. This is a factor for x squared minus 4x minus 5. And then the denominator is x minus 5. We cannot cancel, we cannot factor it. Now you can cancel the common factor and you will get x plus 1. This is the correct way to do it. This is the full point here. So that's the reason why that in this P5 that we are going over, you have to know how to factor it. And then after that, you cancel the common factor. Okay, so this is something that I want to point out to you guys. If you are really weak in factor, go to P4 and practice again. We'll talk about domain. So again, domain is very important word that you'll be using a lot in not just this class, you go all the way to calculus, okay, even to like higher level math. We do a lot of domain. So what is domain? Domain is the real number for which algebraic expression is defined by the domain of expression. So domain means that what number can x takes in this case. That is what domain says. What x number can you take? And for domain means if your x can be 5, which is good. But however, if in this case, if you have this rational expression, you find out that your x cannot be -2. So does anyone here know why this example x cannot be -2? Anyone know why? Anyone? Anyone? This is the real thing that I want to point out to you here. This is very important for you guys who first learn domain here. So this is I put a star on it. So if you have any polynomial, what is polynomial? Just x squared plus 5x plus 25 without the denominator. So this is called polynomial. That means that it has a higher power to a lower power. Then your domain is all real numbers, unless the domain is specially restricted. Okay. So example is like if I give you x squared plus 5x plus 25, then your domain is all real numbers. All real numbers, we use this letter, capital R. But in your online homework, they don't use capital R. They use negative to positive infinity. It means that x here can take any number you want from negative to positive infinity. But what happens if I say x squared plus 5x plus 25, where x is greater than or equal to 25? This is what I call as the domain restriction. Okay, this is what I call as domain restriction. So that's the reason why that when you have a domain restriction, then your domain in this case is no longer all real numbers. Your domain in this case starts from 2 to infinity. It depends on the restriction here. If you have an equal sign, you have to use a bracket. If you don't have an equal sign, you have to use a parenthesis. Okay, so this is for what we call as polynomials. This is called polynomials in this case. What happens if you have a radical expression? A radical means square root. Okay, so if you have a radical expression, then like square root. Okay, so make sure it's square root. Then your domain in this case is non-negative real numbers. For example, if you have a square root of x, then yep, is that you correct? Yep. Square root of x, your domain in this case is you take the whatever inside the radicand, make it equals to greater than or equals to 0. So in this case, it's 0 to infinity. For example, if you have a square root of x minus 2, then it's x minus 2 greater. Take the whatever inside the radicand, inside the square root, which is the radicand, and then solve for x, which is in this case 2 to infinity. So this is how we find the radical expression. But I want to point out to you that this radical expression that you have here is only good for even root. What I call even root, like your index is even, like 2, 4, 6. So square root, 4th root, 6th root, 8th root, 10th root. Then we use this example that we have here. If you have an odd root, then your domain in this case is all real numbers. Okay. So if I have odd root like cube root, 5th root, I don't care, cube root of what, 5th root of what, 7th root of what inside the radicand, your domain in this case is all real numbers. And for the last one that we talk about here is if you have a fraction, we call it rational. Okay, don't forget, we don't use the word fraction anymore, you use the rational. So if you have a rational, then your domain is all real numbers except your denominator cannot be 0, as well as Sally says that cannot have a 0 in the denominator. That is correct. So you cannot have a 0 in your denominator in this case. So that's the reason why that you set it become. So what you do is you set your denominator become 0. So like this example that I just give you just now is you set this equals to 0 and solve for x. And x in this case is -2, and you just say all real numbers except -2. Okay. So let's do some examples here. So the first example is this example, 4x cubed plus 3. They give you a restriction domain. This is what we call as a polynomial. okay? 4x cubed plus 3. Usually without the restricted domain, then your answer is all real numbers. But with the restricted domain, this is a restricted domain, you will use the restricted domain here, which is from 0 to infinity. Since it has an equal sign, we use bracket in this case. For question 2, you have a square root of x plus 7. When you know that it's a square root, you cannot have a non-negative, so you take the radicand and make it greater or equal to 0, and then you solve for x, subtract 7. Do not forget, if you guys remember how you solve inequality, if you multiply or divide with a negative number, you guys know what to do, right? When you multiply and divide with negative number for inequalities, you know what to do with the sign. You remember what happens to your sign when you have an inequality, when you multiply and divide with a negative number. Anyone remember what happens? This is very basic stuff. You guys should know. When you multiply and divide with negative number, what happens to your sign? Your sign will be what? Your inequality sign will be, anyone know? Anyone? Change, yes, you'll be changed, yes, will be switched around, yes, your sign will be changed. So in this case, if it's this one, we don't change it because there's no negative number. If you have divide, then instead of greater, become less than. So then your domain in this case is from -7 to infinity. For question 3, this is what we call as a fraction, or we call it as rational expression. How do you figure out your domain? Is you take your denominator, make it equal to 0, and solve for x. In this case, x equals to 0. So that means your domain is all real numbers except 0. And how do you write this in the interval notation? This is called interval notation that we have. For all real numbers except 0 will be -infinity to 0, 0 to infinity. Now for me, in my test, you can say all real numbers except 0, like what I say here. But I think your online homework wants it in the interval notation, like what I just written down here. So this is how you write all real numbers except 0. Okay. So, so this is how you figure out domain, which is definitely coming up in your test on next Tuesday. So I'm going to give you some homework questions that I want you to practice on, so you guys know how to do this domain part, because as I told you, it is very important, and you will get, and as I told you, it's going to be in your test. Let's try to do question number 4. It's kind of multiple choice. No, Havlin, in the test, either you give me, I recommend just give me 1. So find because if you get me 1 and then the other one is a wrong one, I will mark you wrong. So just give me 1, Havlin. In a test, you do not need to give me both of this. Just give me 1, because if one of this is wrong, you will get wrong. Okay. So anyone know how to do question number 4 in this case? Yes, participation time. Number 4, very easy. Anyone know how to do this? Yep, go ahead and private message me if you know how to do this. Question 4. Question 4, what is the domain of this? Is that A, B, C, D, or E? Easy, so you don't have to type. A, B, C, D, E. Go ahead and private message me the domain for this case. Go ahead. Yep. Sally, that's correct. Anyone besides Sally? A, B, C, D, E. Let's make it multiple choice, easy for you guys to type. Sally is correct. Only one? Havlin? Where's the rest of the class today? What's the domain for this? As I told you, this is coming up in your test, and it's not going to be multiple choice like this. You have to write it down. No, Sanford, that is correct. Wrong. Paige, that is correct. Yep. Yep, Havlin is correct. Devin, that is wrong. Adam Lee is correct. Yep, I'm still waiting. This is not tough. This is not difficult. This is called polynomials. Don't forget, this is called polynomials. And if you remember, what do I tell you about polynomials? What happens to polynomials? What is your domain in this case? Yep, Magida is correct. No, Devin is still wrong. Read here what it says about polynomials. Polynomial should be what? What is the domain here? Yes, Sanford, you are correct. Yes, Devin, you got it right. Finally, yes. Yep, Adam K is correct. So yes, your answer in this case is a polynomial without any restriction. Then your answer will be all real numbers. E. Yep, Tammy Do, that's correct. Good. What happens for question 5? Now this is a polynomial, and now it has a domain restriction here. Then what is the domain here? A, B, C, D, E. So like what we did last time here, like number 1, remember this question number 1 that we have here? It says that it has a domain restriction, then the domain is no longer all real numbers like number 4, that it will be yes, Sally, that is correct. They're very tricky here, so make sure you read the question really carefully, your choices. Yes, Marissa, that is correct. Just type A, B, Marissa, next time type A, B, C, D, E. I don't know, Saidu, is that A, B, C, D, E? Saidu, I don't know which one you written down as none of those. Yes, Paige, that is correct. No, Devin, no, that's wrong. Havlin, that is wrong. Yep, Adam K, that is correct. I'm not telling the answer because no, Devin. You're just, Devin, you're just playing mini, money, more here. No, don't forget, what is this called? There is a name we call this. See, this is exactly like question 5. So we have a name for it. What is this called? It's not this. It's not the A or D or E. Okay. So in this case, when you go from 0, yep, that's correct. Havlin, Sanford, Patterson, H, you're correct. So this, Adam Lee, correct. Yep. So this is go from 0 to infinity. So if you think about a number like Saidu, that is wrong. Okay, it's not all real numbers because of domain restriction here. So this one looks as question 5 looks exactly like this one. So this telling us that this is going to be all positive real numbers. So in this case, your answer for question 5 will be B in this case. Okay, so make sure you guys know the difference between those two. How about question 6? Find the domain for this. Now, if you have a fraction, then your answer will be either B, D, or E. The reason why is because when you have a fraction, it's always all real numbers except something. So what is this question 6 will be? Question 6. Yep, Sally, that is correct. And I just want to point out to you, this one looks something like what we did in question 3 here. It's all real numbers except something. And how do you find this number? Is solve for your x here. Okay. So anyone know what to do with this one? Sally is correct. Magida, that is wrong. Again, when you have a fraction like this, your answer is going to be all real numbers except x not equals to something. Okay, so it's not going to be this. This is going to work. So not A, not C. Don't answer A, C here. Okay, so you have to set your denominator equals to 0 and solve for x. And that x is what you cannot equals to. So what is that going to be in this case? Only Sally knows it. Yep, Marissa, that is correct. Only Sally and Marissa. Yep, Tammy Do, Sam. Oh, you guys all got it. Yes, everyone got it now. Everyone pop out now. Yep, Adam Lee, Patterson, Magida, Saidu, Tamidu, everyone got it. So in this case, you just set this equals to 0 and solve for x, and you find out that x in this case is -7/3. So your answer in this case would be just B. All real numbers except x cannot be -7/3. So this is your answer here. Okay. Same thing happens to question 7. You just need to make this equals to 0 and then solve for x here. Now we're talking about square root. Square root is like number 2 here that we did here. You see the number 2 that we did? You take your radicand, make it greater than or equal to 0 and solve for x. So can someone tell me what is question 8 is? Question 8. Okay. Adam K, that is correct. Sally is correct. Magida is wrong. Magida, you are wrong. Watch for your sign. Yes, Sanford. P is correct. Adam Lee is wrong. Remember what happens when I told you when you multiply and divide with a negative number, what happens to your inequality sign? You have to change, right? So some of you did not switch your inequality sign. Yes, Hamden, that is correct. And make sure to look carefully at the inequality here. Adam Lee, that is wrong. It has to be greater than or equal to. It has to be an equal sign. So that means that A, B, and D is wrong. Why it's wrong is because it should have an equal to. Okay, Magida, that is correct. Havlin is correct. Adam Lee, you want to try again? Yep, that is correct, Adam Lee. So yes, so in order for you to do this kind of questions, what you need to do is you take 7 minus x, the one inside the radical, and make it greater than or equal to 0. So then you move the 7 over, so it becomes negative x greater than or equal to -7. And now you divide with a -1. So when you divide with a -1, your sign will switch. Don't forget, your sign will switch. And you get x is less than or equal to 7. So that's why your answer in this case is E. Okay. You guys all right here so far? Okay. Now, number 9. This is a very difficult one. And this is the one I will come up with your test on next week. You got square roots in the bottom. And you got, yep, you got a square root in the bottom. So this is your attendance now. Question 9 will be your attendance. So try to do question 9. So everyone, please do question 9. I want you. I know some of you did not participate here. So this is your attendance. If you do not participate here, you will get it. That's your attendance today. So Sally, that is correct. So this is your attendance now. So question 9 is your attendance. At least you try. I'll still give attendance in this case. Devin, kind of right, kind of wrong, but it's actually wrong. Sally is correct, but yours is wrong because there's one thing about the equal sign here. When you put, what happens when you put -8 inside? What do you get? -8 plus 8 become what? 0, right? Can we have a denominator with 0? Yep. Can we have a denominator over 0? We cannot have no, you are correct, Devin. So in this case, you cannot be C because the equal sign. So you just take out the equal sign out. So what happens when you take out the equal sign? Then it'll be what choice? No E. Yep, Devin, that is correct. Yep. No, Devin, not E. Nope, Adam, not. No, that would not all real numbers. All real numbers is no good. Okay. Yes, Saidu is correct. You guys are too fast. I cannot. Sanford, you are wrong. Havlin, you are wrong. Tammy Do, you are correct. Adam Lee, you are correct. Who else? Marissa, you are wrong. Magida is correct. Paige, that is wrong. I just mentioned just now, you cannot have a 0 in your denominator. So Paige, that is wrong. Don't forget, this is your attendance. Make sure you guys do this. At least you try. I still mark you a 10. So no, Hablin, B is wrong. Yep. Again, class, these kind of questions I told you is coming out in your in your test. So make sure you know how to do this. Adam K, that is correct. Peter Patterson H is correct. Make sure, again, class, this is your attendance. Mario, are you there, Mario? You haven't participated anything yet, Mario. Mario, Stanford P is wrong. Because we don't switch sign here, because we don't divide with negative. Stanford P, we don't divide with negative. Mario GC, are you here? Because you did not participate at all. Mario GC, are you there? Sanford, that's correct. Marissa, that is wrong. That is wrong, Marissa. Who else doesn't participate? Havlins, that is wrong. Where is Natalie? Natalie, are you here? I know some of you guys plan to like play hockey here. You just go online and not participate. And guess what? You will not gonna, those students who just go online and do whatever you want, not participate, you won't get, your attendance will count as 0 in this case. Marissa, that is correct. No, Halvin, if you participate and if you get it wrong, I still gonna count you present because you guys are listening, paying attention, trying. That's good. There are people in this classroom that doesn't even do anything. That's why those people that didn't do anything, I will give them 0. Yep, because that means they are not paying attention. They are doing something else. Okay. So is Natalie here? There are some people here like that. I know who you are. Can you participate in question 9? Because a lot of you, I think that Zainab, are you participating? Zainab, are you here? I want you, this is something you guys need to participate here because this is what happens when you teach online. This is your attendance. Because if you don't participate, I won't count you as I count you absence, although you are here. I told you, right? This is your attendance. So so in this case, in question number 9, in order for you guys to do this, because you have a square root here in your denominator, usually square root is you make your radicand greater than or equals to 0, like what we did on previously. So for this case, you take x plus 8, and you only do greater than 0. There's no equal sign here. The reason why there's no equal sign here is because you cannot have 0 in the denominator. So that's the reason why that your answer in this case is x is greater than 8. So your answer in this, negative 8, sorry. So your answer in this case will be D here. So that's the reason why that for question 9, you have to, this is how we simplify this, okay? Next, we're gonna continue with, this is how we find the domain. So make sure you guys understand that. Next, we have to simplify. So in order for us to simplify rational expression, like what I just did previously, you have to factor it. And then after that, you divide out, okay? We can also add, subtract, multiply, divide. So like fractions, does anyone remember how we add, subtract, multiply, divide with fractions? Anyone know how to multiply fractions? Anyone know how to multiply? How about 2 over 5 times 3 over let's say 8. Do you guys know how to multiply this fraction? Do you need to find LCD? You have to reduce, don't forget. Yes, Adam K, you got it correct. So you don't need, yes, no LCD. When you multiply, divide, you don't need LCD. So you multiply straight across. Yes, you're correct. Multiply straight across. So like Devin told me, it's 6/40, but you won't get full points here because you have to reduce this. So this can be reduced by 2, so it becomes 3/20. So this is how we multiply. How about divide? Does anyone know how to divide fractions? Do you need to find LCD when you divide? No. Okay. So no matter you're multiplying or dividing, no LCD. Don't find LCD here. You guys know LCD, right? Yep. Not change the sign, flip the fraction. So change the sign. Yep. Sorry, you're correct. Saidu. You change the division to become multiplication, and then you flip it 8/3. This is how you divide fractions. You flip the back second fraction, and then you multiply them straight across. 2 times 8 is 16, and then 5 times 3 is 15. Leave your answer like this. Don't change it to become 1/15. Don't do this. You can, but it's optional. So don't change. Make your life difficult. Okay. So no LCD in this case. So you guys okay here so far? Okay. So this is adding and this is multiply and divide. So what about adding and subtracting? Anyone know what to do when you add and subtract? If they are the same denominator, when you add or subtract, do you need to find LCD? Like this, they are the same denominator. Do you need to find out? No. So you add 1 plus 4, which is 5. Do you add your denominator to become 6? 3 plus 3, 6. No. So this, what is the denominator here? Anyone know what's the denominator here? It is still the same as 3, right? Yep, you guys good. So same thing happens when I subtract this, right? So what happens when I subtract this? It's gonna be, if same denominator, no LCD. Though all this do not need to find LCD. Subtract this, you get -3/3. Can you leave your answer like this? -3/3. No, you cannot leave your answer like this. This is -1. This is what I'm looking for. If you leave this answer in your test, again, you will get full point. So this whole pages, you do not need to find LCD, right? Because they all, the only time that you need to find LCD is when your denominator is not the same, like this. Yep. What's the LCD here? What's the LCD here? Not 12, smaller than 12, 6, yes. So 12 is good. So Stanford said 12. 12 is good, but if you do 12 is not wrong, 12 is right, but then after that you have to reduce it. So so 6 is the correct one in this case. How do you do this? Is like what we did last time here. 18 also work. So 12 and 18 will work, but if you do 12 or 18, then at the end you will end up with this kind of fractions that you have to reduce it. So it's not wrong. It's just that you have to reduce it after that. Okay. So like last time, you have to make them become the same denominator so you can add them. So in this case, we have to make this to become 6. So we have to multiply this by 2. But you guys know that when you multiply anything to the bottom by 2, same thing goes to the top, right? You guys with me, right? So in this case, you 2 plus 1, you get 3. And this will become 6. And don't forget to reduce this to become 1/2. You guys okay here so far with fractions? Okay. So this is the only time that LCD is used. Okay. So for this section that we're going to talk about is you don't have numbers like this. You will have this kind weird stuff. Okay. So in order for you to have a rational expression with weird stuff like this, so let's say that you have to factor. Yes, you do need to factor this. And let's say that when you factor this, you get this and that. So how do you determine, and they are adding or subtracting, how do you determine LCD in this case is you look at the common terms. So you find out that this is a common term, these two. So if they are common term, you only write it as one time. Okay, you only write as one time. The leftover, this is a leftover, you chuck it over there. So this is how you guys find the LCD for this kind of questions, where if you have a common factor, you write as one time, no. And if you have a they are not alike, then you check it back. This is how you find your LCD. What happens when you factor, you get this. So you notice that this x minus x plus 2 has the same term, but one of them is square, one of them is power 1. So if you have this such thing, then you will still write x plus 2, but you take the highest power. Remember last time when you factor, we take the lowest power. So in this case, when you do the LCD, you take the highest power, and then the leftover x minus 3 will be written down on here. Okay, so make sure you guys know how to find the LCD here. This is a little bit more difficult than what you have. So let's do some examples here. So like example 4 and 5, in order for us to write this in the simplest form, and this is not adding, subtracting, multiply, divide, you just need to reduce this. So how do we reduce this is we have to factor it. So 4x plus 2, the factor, you can factor 4 out, you get x plus 3. And then x squared minus 3x minus 18, this is a trinomial factors. 18 is a perfect, 18, the factor is 3 and negative 6. So because I want to get a negative 3, one is positive, one is negative. So when you add this, you get negative 3. So you get x plus 3 and x minus 6. And then you cancel the common factor. So any common factor that you have, you cancel it. And then the leftovers, 4 and x minus 6 will be your answer. This is how you guys do question like this. Question 5, 3x squared minus x minus 2. This is where you're going to use trial and error. This is what we call as a difficult factor because you got a number in front of your x squared. If you have 1, it's fine. If you have a number in front, that's no good. And how do you factor this is we do try and error. So what times what is 3x squared, 3x and x. What times what is 2, we do 2 and 1. And then I do plus and minus. And then I do the outside and the inside. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. And then 2 times x is positive 2x. So this will give us negative x here, which is exactly the same as that. So this is how you factor it for this case. The bottom part is a bit different. It's because this is not written in a standard form. So you have to write this in a standard form. So this is just standard form here. And when you have a standard form, you factor out the negative. And you will get x squared plus 4x minus 5. And then you factor as usual. This is the easy factor, x plus 1 and x minus 1. And then you find out that your x minus 1 is being canceled. So this is your answer in this case, the leftovers. This negative, you can put it in the bottom, you can put it in the top, you can put it in the middle. They are the same. So this is how you reduce this. Again, as I told you, factor is very important in this class and the future because you're using this a lot. Okay. How do you do multiply and divide? Instead of last time in fraction that you told me, we multiply them straight across, but we don't multiply them straight across here. We will factor them first. And once you factor, and then you cancel the common factor. So this time you have to factor 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 of this. So in this case, like the first one, you can factor out 5x. You will get 3x plus 1. The bottom one, on this case, you can factor out x because the GCF, the common factor. You will get x squared minus 3x plus 18. And then you have to factor it again, become x minus 6 and x plus 3. So this is the factor for the bottom one. The other top one, the factor in this case is x plus 3 and x minus 5. And then the bottom one here, you have to use a trial and error because you got a 3 in front. So it's going to be 3x plus 1 and x minus 3. And now once you finish factor it, you will cancel the common factor. So 3x plus 1 is common, x plus 3 is common, and then the x that you see over here is also common. So what left over on top is 5x minus 5, and then the bottom is x minus 6 and x minus 3. Don't FOIL this, okay? Some students like, do you want to FOIL this? No, don't FOIL, don't distribute. So in the same thing in your homework, same thing in your test. So once you finish doing this, you are done. So don't do extra work for me here, because the more work you do, if it's wrong, I will take points off. So just leave it like this. Make your life simple. Division. To divide, you change the divide to multiply, and then you flip-flop the back ones. And then you begin to factor them 4 times. So this is a perfect cube factor, which will become x minus 1, x squared plus x plus 1. This is a perfect square, x minus 1 and x plus 1. This x squared plus 2x plus 1 is also factored, become x plus 1, x plus 1. This is prime. This factor here is prime, means that you cannot factor it. So then you begin to cancel. So this will cancel with the x squared plus x plus 1. X plus 1 is cancelled, x minus 1 is cancelled. The x plus 1 up here is a leftover, and that will be your answer in this case. Okay. So, so this right now what I'm teaching you for today's class is how you find your domain. How do you simplify a rational expression? And how do you multiply and divide? So when on Thursday class, this is the end for today's class. On Thursday class, I will teach you what happens when you add and subtract fractions, and how do we do what we call as a complex fraction, which is a fraction over fraction. I will teach you how to do this. And then the rest is pretty much, we'll talk about this on Thursday class. Because P6 is a very easy class, because it's all about coordinate systems and distance and formula. So it's a very short class on for P6 actually. P6 is a very short lesson, very easy actually. P5 is the one that we have to spend a bit more time on it. So if you do have questions, stay after class. If you don't, you may leave. Natalie, Zainab, are you here? There are some people that are still not here and not participating in this case. If you have no questions, you may go. I'm still waiting for, yep, we have coordinate system, yep, P6, which is, and then we do the distance and the midpoint formula. So, so far, I think everyone is here, except I got some Mario, Natalie, you know, I know you talked to me about that. Natalie, you good. Mario, can I talk to you after class? Do I have to purchase a web? Yes, you do. It's too late already. Natalie, you have to purchase a web code, the SS code. It's already 2 weeks. Guess what? This is 1/3 of class gone already. Zainab, I need to talk to you. Natalie, you have to purchase the code. Do you buy the book yet? You have to do it. Let me stop recording.